The story you're about to hear will come alive as you read along with the performance. Before you begin listening to the program, open your book to page 7 so you can read along with the cassette.
This is a chance I know I must take. For a long time, I, Henry Jekyll, M.D., had been studying a way to divide man into separate people, one good and one evil. At last, I thought I had found a drug which would work. I knew it would be dangerous, but I also knew that I would take the chance. I was born into a wealthy family. I became a well-known doctor.
Working late again, I see, Dr. Jekyll.
Well, we must do what we can, mustn't we?
Cab, sir.
As Dr. Jekyll, I was leading two lives. My evil life, however, was kept hidden. Driver, take me to Soho, to a nightclub with a good show. I so enjoy this kind of life. Even though I led two different lives, I did not feel guilty. I enjoyed doing good, and I enjoyed being evil. I was the same person when I enjoyed the evil pleasures of life as when I worked during the day to help the sick who came to me. About this time, I was also studying magic and the supernatural. A man is really two persons. I must try to discover how to separate these two natures. I think this drug will work. I can free the evil person in me. Do I dare? I knew I could die by taking the drug, but the thought of such a great discovery overcame my fear. Oh, God, let it work. The most terrible pain followed. My bones ached. I thought I would die. When the pain stopped, I felt weak, as if I had been ill for a long time. Right away, I knew this person I had changed into was ugly and evil, but I was glad. As I was enjoying these new feelings, I suddenly noticed that my appearance had changed.
Welcome. You are Edward Hyde, the evil side of my nature.
But I had to see if I could regain my old identity.
Now, for the second and most important experiment.
The drug works. I've done it. I had made a deadly discovery that night. The drug had unlocked the doors and let my evil nature escape. Not able to sleep, I looked at the evening sky and knew I had said good night to goodness. You should now be on page 12. The next morning, as Hyde, I found a house in Soho. It's not fancy, sir, but it will suit your needs, the old housekeeper said. I'll take it, I said, tossing her some money. The name is Hyde. I planned carefully to hide my identity.
Yes, sir.
A friend of mine, a Mr. Hyde, will visit with us here at times. He is to have full freedom of this house and the laboratory beyond. And to make sure my orders would be followed, I soon returned as Hyde.
Hyde's the name. Your master said I'd be welcome.
By all means, sir. Dr. Jekyll is out, but make yourself at home.
Don't mind me. I'll have a look around.
Ugly man. But it is the master's wish.
Next, I made out my will and gave it to my lawyer, Mr. Utterson.
Are you mad, Henry? According to this will, when you die, all your belongings are to pass into the hands of your friend Edward Hyde.
Read on. There is more.
And that in the case of Dr. Jekyll's disappearance for any time more than 3 months, the same Edward Hyde should step into Dr. Jekyll's shoes without delay.
Well, Utterson, will you see that it is done?
It bothers me both as your friend and your lawyer. It is crazy, but I shall do as you wish.
I enjoyed being a well-known doctor who helped the poor and the sick. This little one is coming along fine, nurse.
It's all you're doing, Dr. Jekyll.
Because when I wanted to be rude or wicked, I could change into Edward Hyde.
Sing it again. Louder. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, there'll be none of that.
What? Hyde's my name. I do what I please. Understand? Here's something to remember me by.
As Hyde, I was pure evil let loose.
Out of my way. I'm leaving. Oh, God,
Later, sitting safely at home. As long as no one guesses that I, Dr. Jekyll, am really Edward Hyde, I am perfectly safe. After dinner one night, with my old school friends, George Utterson and Dr. Hasty Lanyon.
What have you been up to, Henry? You look tired.
My work has taken much of my time, Utterson.
Nonsense. My guess, Jekyll, is that you are burning the candle at both ends with your studies of magic and the supernatural.
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact, Lanyon. I've discovered a good deal about the good and evil parts of man.
You forget, Jekyll. I am a scientist, not a quack. Do you have proof of what you say?
I do, Lanyon, but I don't think you would understand.
There are certain things created by God that we should obey and not try to change, Henry.
Perhaps. And then again, perhaps not. What if I were to tell you that each of us is really two people in one, a good man and an evil man, and that I can actually separate the good from the evil?
Nonsense, I say. Come, Utterson. I think it's time we leave.
But I understood what other men would never believe. I dared to do what would frighten other men. Lanyon is a stubborn fool. I could never hope that he would believe these experiments work. Come, Edward Hyde. I want to be evil. The goodness in me was overcome by the magic drug.
I'm smaller than Jekyll, and younger, too. That's because his goodness kept me locked up without a chance to grow. But I'm free now for any adventure and pleasure. The beast is loose and will do its worst.
Again, as Hyde, a creature evil and wicked, I went after pleasure. Everything I did was for myself. I enjoyed hurting people. I was like a man of stone with no feelings.
What did you expect? Are you men enough? Come one, come all, or have you had enough?
I, Henry Jekyll, was at times troubled by what Hyde had done. Hyde's been at it again. There's blood and hair all over this cane. I wonder whose skull was cracked this time. He's into all kinds of trouble, that Hyde. Jekyll believed it was only Hyde who was guilty. As Jekyll, I'm no different than I was before. My good points have not been harmed. But Jekyll did try to make up for Hyde's evil doings. I understand a friend of mine did you damage last night. Perhaps this will cover your losses.
Like you, sir. You are a prince, just like your friends, old devil.
I had no idea of the trouble to come. This is so unusual, outside all the laws of science.
Free at last. The night awaits me.
Later, filled with a lively evening, I walked into danger. I saw a child and yet did not see her. My mood was too high to take notice.
Eh? What?
Oh!
Hyde walked right over the little girl as if he did not see her,
Here, you.
only to be stopped by a man who saw the accident.
Stop. What's the matter with you? What?
The accident with the child made her family and the whole neighborhood angry when they heard her cries.
Look what he's done to my child!
Kill the prince!
Call a doctor. She's hurt bad.
Hyde knew he was in danger and acted quickly.
As a gentleman, I wish to make up for what I've done. How much money do you want?
The little girl is all right, only frightened.
Only frightened, is she? Easy for you to say. Let him pay!
They won't let you get away with this. You'll have to give the child's family £100.
Very well. Follow me, and I'll give you the money for them.
The people waited outside the door to Jekyll's laboratory as Hyde went in.
Here's 10 pounds in gold, and a check for the rest.
I knew the man who had grabbed me was a relative to Utterson, Jekyll's lawyer. He stared at the signature on the check.
Why in the world would Jekyll give you a check for so much money?
That's none of your business. It's a good check, and that's all that matters.
I knew I had to get a bank account in the name of Edward Hyde.
I'm opening an account here. Hyde's the name.
Thank you, sir. Well, now would you sign this so we'll have a sample of your signature?
I changed my signature by slanting my handwriting backwards.
There.
Good. Now no one but you can use the account.
I thought I was safe. Hyde is safe now. I've done everything possible to protect our identities. You should now be on page 24. One day, my friend and lawyer, George Utterson, was walking with his relative, Mr. Enfield.
See that door, George? I want to tell you a strange story about it.
But that door leads to... Well, never mind. Tell me.
Enfield then told the story of Hyde's accident with the girl.
The check the man gave me was signed by your friend Jekyll. Is it possible Jekyll is being blackmailed by this man?
What does this man look like?
A strange-looking fellow. Ugly, evil-looking, and downright hateful.
What is the name of this man you're telling me about?
His name is Edward Hyde.
Good Lord. The very man my friend Jekyll has left his fortune to.
Utterson went home sadly when Enfield told him Hyde had his own key to Jekyll's door.
Take it away. I cannot eat tonight.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Utterson went to his safe and took out Jekyll's will.
In case of the death of Henry Jekyll, M.D., D.C.L., LL.D., F.R.S., all his belongings are to pass to his friend Edward Hyde. In the case of Dr. Jekyll's disappearance for any time more than 3 months, the same Edward Hyde should step into Henry Jekyll's shoes without delay. At first I thought he was mad. Now I fear he is in trouble.
Quickly, he went to the home of Dr. Lanyon.
If anyone knows the truth, it will be Lanyon.
A few minutes later,
I guess, Lanyon, you and I are the oldest friends Jekyll has.
Yes, but I see little of him now. Henry Jekyll has become too strange for me. He began to go wrong in his mind 10 years ago with his studies of magic drugs and other such nonsense.
Did you ever meet a friend of his, a man by the name of Hyde?
No, never heard of him.
when 6 o'clock struck the next morning on the bells of the church near Utterson's home, he was still awake. Wild ideas passed through his mind.
Oh, I cannot sleep for fear of Henry Jekyll's life. I see a ghost at his bedside. Hyde is a devil to whom Jekyll is losing his power.
The ghost of Hyde continued to fill Utterson's dreams.
He's everywhere. It's Hyde. Oh, there he is, I tell you. It's Hyde. Stop him. Oh, I must see the real Hyde. Maybe if I once saw him, this mystery might be cleared up.
The mystery of Hyde made Utterson watch the door to Jekyll's laboratory from morning to night.
I must see his face. It should be a face worth seeing.
He watched in the early morning. He watched at noon when the streets were busy. He watched at night under the face of the moon. Utterson watched in all kinds of weather.
I won't give up. Hyde will come in or out sooner or later. I will see the face of Hyde, the face of evil.
Finally,
That must be Hyde. Mr. Hyde, I think?
That is my name. What do you want?
My name is Utterson. I am a friend of Dr. Jekyll's. I thought you might let me in to talk to you.
You will not find Dr. Jekyll home.
but Utterson would not give up.
Will you let me see your face?
With pleasure.
Hyde turned his head.
There. Is that what you want?
It may be useful. Now I shall know you.
I'm glad we met, Utterson. And here, take my address in Soho.
Yes, it may be of some importance.
And now, sir, how did you know me?
We have a friend in common. Jekyll told me what you looked like.
You lie. Jekyll never told you.
Hyde's ugly laugh could be heard as he disappeared into the house.
You must think me a fool to use Jekyll's name.
That man does not seem human. Now I am worried about poor Henry Jekyll.
So Utterson walked around the corner to the front door of the house.
Good evening, Poole. Is Dr. Jekyll at home?
I think not, Mr. Utterson. But come in, sir. I'll see.
Utterson waited while the butler looked for his master. He was still bothered by the memory of Hyde's face.
I read of danger here, even in the flame of the firelight.
I'm sorry, sir. Dr. Jekyll must have gone out.
I saw Mr. Hyde go into the laboratory, Poole. Is that all right when Dr. Jekyll is not home?
Quite right, sir. Mr. Hyde has a key to the building.
Your master must have a great deal of trust in that man, Hyde.
Yes, sir. We all have orders to obey him.
Is he here often?
Well, sir, he never eats here. We see very little of him on this side of the house. He mostly comes and goes by the laboratory door.
Very worried, Utterson started home.
If Hyde guesses that Jekyll will leave money to him, he may try to hurry Jekyll's death to get it.
A few days later,
I have been wanting to speak to you again, Henry, about your will. You know I never liked it.
you have already told me so.
It is more important now. I have been learning something of Hyde.
No, Utterson, I can't change the will. I know this seems strange business to you, but my will stays the same.
Henry, I am your friend. Trust me. If you are in trouble, I can help you.
This is very good of you, and I cannot find the words to thank you, but it is not as bad as you think. I can be rid of Hyde the moment I choose. I give you my hand upon that. But this is a private matter, and I beg of you to let it sleep.
Very well, Jekyll.
Promise me, if I die or am taken away suddenly, you will help Hyde to get what I have left him.
Well, all right. I promise.
One morning, following a night of evil activities as Hyde, I awoke feeling very strange. I knew I, Henry Jekyll, had gone to bed in my own room, in my own house. But I felt as if I were in Soho, in the room of Edward Hyde. I thought I was dreaming until I saw my hand. Good Lord, this is not the hand of Henry Jekyll. Jumping from my bed, I ran to the mirror. My blood was changed to ice when I saw not myself, but
Edward Hyde.
But I had gone to bed as Henry Jekyll. The change into Hyde made no sense, and I had to change back.
The servants are up, and all the drugs are in the laboratory.
Hyde dressed in the clothes of Jekyll, which were too large.
Luckily, the servants are somewhat used to the coming and going of Hyde.
As soon as I got to the laboratory, I drank the waiting drug. 10 minutes later, I began my day as Henry Jekyll. I finished breakfast pool. I'll have the coffee in my study.
Yes, sir.
Stop your recorder and turn the cassette over to complete the story.
Changing into Hyde without drinking the magic drug seemed to spell out my future fate. Death. No! I thought a lot about my double life. Hyde has grown in size. He has had much exercise and food lately. I was worried that I might become Hyde forever, not be able to change back. Lately as Hyde, I've felt very strong. Perhaps the drug is losing its power. Changing into Hyde had been hard at first. Now it became easier and easier. What if I become Edward Hyde forever? I knew I had to choose between the two. Jekyll helped plan and enjoyed the things Hyde did. But Hyde wanted to know nothing of Jekyll. To always remain as Jekyll would mean giving up the fun that I now openly enjoyed as Hyde. To choose Hyde is to lose 1,000 interests and hopes for the future. But if I remain as Hyde, I would have no friends and even be hated. The choice is unequal. The risk of always being Edward Hyde is too great. I chose Jekyll, the better part of me, and for 2 months I was true to my choice. You're coming along just fine, Mrs. Thatcher. You'll be out of here soon.
Bless you, Doctor, for all you've done. He saved another life.
I worked harder at being a good doctor than ever before.
Back again, Jekyll. You've already put in a full day.
Yes, but I'm needed here. We must do what we can. But time began at last to take away fears. The joy of hard work faded. The Hyde in me longed to be free. Out there is life. What am I waiting for? At last, in an hour of weakness, I once again mixed and swallowed the drug.
I drink to freedom, to pleasure.
In an instant, the spirit of the devil awoke in me, and I was again Hyde.
To evil.
when suddenly...
I beg your pardon.
What do you want?
I wonder if you could tell me...
Out of my way, old fool!
The devil in me had been shut up too long. It came roaring out.
I'm in a hurry, old man.
I beat the old man, enjoying every blow.
Take that, old bag of bones, and that.
Meanwhile, from across the road, a maid watched what happened.
I know him. That's that Mr. Hyde. What's he doing to that old gentleman? Ah!
Suddenly, in my madness, cold terror filled my heart.
What have I done?
Shaking with fear, but glad at what I had done, I turned and ran.
Well, I've certainly done it now. Nobody has seen me. I'll be safe in my house in Soho. I must burn my papers.
Is that you, Mr. Hyde?
To be sure I was safe, I burned everything. I left quickly to change safely into Jekyll. I set out for Jekyll's house, enjoying my crime and yet afraid of being caught.
I must do more of this. Hark! Is that someone?
Hyde had a song upon his lips as he mixed the potion.
Oh, it's great fun to be jolly. Here's to old, what's his name, dead in the street.
The pains of changing back to Jekyll had not finished before tears of thankfulness and guilt ran down his face and Jekyll was on his knees. I'm safe, thank God. The following morning, Lawyer Utterson was called to his door.
There was a murder last night, sir. The dead man had a letter in his coat addressed to you. Would you come to the station house?
Yes, perhaps I can identify the body. Yes, I know him. This man is Sir Danvers Carew.
We found this at the scene, sir. It's what killed the gentleman.
Utterson knew that the broken cane was one he had given Jekyll many years before.
A maid saw the whole thing, sir. She says the murderer was a Mr. Edward Hyde.
If you will come with me in my cab, I think I can take you to where Hyde lives.
Soon the cab arrived at Hyde's house in Soho.
This is his house, the home of Henry Jekyll's friend, the man heir to Jekyll's fortune.
So Hyde's in trouble, is he? What's he done? Too bad he ain't in, gents. He came in late and left soon afterwards.
Please, show us his rooms, madam. This is Inspector Newcomen of Scotland Yard.
From the looks of it, he's burned things that could have been used against him.
From the fireplace, the inspector took some half-burned papers.
Here's part of his checkbook.
Yes, that's Hyde's. And his mistake, too, sir.
The man needs money. We have nothing to do but wait for him at the bank.
And behind the door...
It's got to be Hyde, Inspector. Here's the second half of the cane that he used to beat poor Carew. The same cane I once bought for Henry Jekyll. How did Hyde get it?
You should now be on page 46. Later, Utterson went to the home of his friend, Jekyll.
Good afternoon, Paul. Is Dr. Jekyll in?
He's in the laboratory across the yard, sir. I'll take you there. I believe this is the first time you've been to see Dr. Jekyll in the old laboratory, sir.
Yes, Paul.
Mr. Utterson here to see you, sir.
Have him come up, Poole. Come on in, Utterson. Excuse me if I don't get up. I'm very tired.
Have you heard the news about Carew's murder?
The newsboys were shouting it in the streets. I heard it in my dining room. Shocking news.
I have even more shocking news for you, Henry. Your friend, Hyde, is the murderer. You haven't tried to hide him, have you?
No, of course not. And I swear to you, I shall never set eyes on him again. I am done with him in this world. It is all at an end.
Are you sure?
Hyde does not want my help. You do not know him as I do. He is quite safe. He will never be heard of again.
I hope you're right. If this case comes to trial, he may say you are his friend.
I'm sure he's gone. Please believe me. Hyde sent me a letter. I have shown it to no one.
Well, let me see it. Dear Dr. Jekyll, thank you for all you have done for me in the past. Don't worry about my safety. I have a means for my escape. Edward Hyde. I thought you were friendlier with Hyde than this letter makes it seem. Have you the envelope?
I burned it before I thought what I was doing, but it had no postmark. The note was handed in.
One more question. Was it Hyde who told you what to say in your will?
Yes.
He meant to murder you then. You have had a narrow escape.
I have had what is far more important, a lesson. As Utterson left the house, he spoke to the butler.
Someone brought a letter for Dr. Jekyll to the house today. What did he look like?
There was no one here today, sir. No mail was brought to the house.
Still afraid for his friend, Utterson returned home.
Maiden leg! Read all about it! The letter must have come to the laboratory door. Maybe it was even written in there. I must think this out carefully.
Later, at home, he spoke to Dr. Guest, his head clerk, who knew about people's handwriting.
Tell me, Guest, what do you think of this letter? The man who killed old Carew wrote it. You could say it is a murderer's autograph. Is he mad?
No, not mad, sir. But it is a strange handwriting.
At that moment, the butler delivered a message.
Is that from Dr. Jekyll, sir? I thought I knew the writing.
Why, yes, it is. It's an invitation to dinner.
Excuse me, sir. This is odd. May I compare the two? The two handwritings are very much alike, only slanted differently.
That is rather strange, isn't it? Do not tell anyone of this, Guest.
I understand.
That night, after locking the note in his safe, Utterson lay sleepless, his blood running cold in his veins.
I don't understand why Henry Jekyll would forge a letter for a murderer.
After Utterson left, my conscience began to trouble me again. Slowly, the guilt began to die away. The problem is solved. I cannot risk being Hyde again. The gallows are waiting for him. I firmly decided to give up Hyde forever. I locked the door to the laboratory and crushed the key under my foot. I swear to remain as Jekyll, the better of my two identities. With Hyde's guilt known to the world, I was safe as Jekyll.
Edward Hyde wanted for murder. Paper, sir?
Shocking. I'll take one, boy. I decided that I would try to make good for the past. Bring me her chart, nurse. We might try another medicine.
Yes, doctor.
You should now be on page 52. For 2 months I worked helping people in pain, and the days passed quietly and happily. You're looking better, Miss Gray.
It's all due to you, sir, making me whole again.
But I was still troubled with my double nature. I'm getting restless. Why should I feel guilty? The evil side of me that was loose for so long and now locked up began to beg for freedom. A pity to stay inside, but I must stay away from all temptation. Even as Henry Jekyll, I now had to fight to control my evil desires. Pretty girl she is. Just a nurse, but awfully pretty. But my promises for good came to an end. The evil in me broke loose. What am I waiting for? What am I afraid of? Suddenly a terrible sickness and the most deadly shaking came over me. Oh, what's happening? I feel faint. As I looked down, the hand on my knee became hairy and ugly.
Good Lord. I've changed to Edward Hyde.
A moment before, I was a man respected by other men. Now I was Hyde, hunted, a known murderer, headed for the gallows.
Got to get away. Think.
Jekyll would have gone to the police, but Hyde wished only to protect himself.
Cab! Stop! Look out!
I had the cab drive me to a hotel.
Stop! I'll get off here.
Yes, sir. Whoa, Betsy.
When I was safe in a room, I wrote 2 letters, one to Dr. Lanyon and one to my butler, Poole.
Hyde is wanted by the police. Even my own servants would send me to the gallows. I must use Lanyon to get my drugs.
And shortly afterward...
Special delivery for you, Dr. Lanyon.
Written in the hand of Dr. Jekyll. How strange for him to be writing me. Jekyll sounds mad. I must bring the drugs from a drawer in his laboratory back here and wait for a visitor at midnight.
Dear Lanyon, you are one of my oldest friends. And although we may have disagreed at times on scientific matters, I cannot remember any break in our friendship. My life, my reason, my honor are all at your mercy if you fail me tonight. Lanyon went immediately to Jekyll's house.
Poole, I received a letter from your master.
I too, sir. This man is waiting to break open the laboratory door.
4th drawer from the top, he said.
Lanyon returned to his home as he had been told to do.
These powders are unknown to me. Jekyll must have made them himself.
Exactly at midnight.
Were you sent by Dr. Jekyll?
Yes. May I come in?
Have you got it?
There it is, sir. But you forget, we have not met.
At the sight of the drugs, Hyde gave out a sigh of relief.
Forgive me for the rush, but I come here for Dr. Henry Jekyll on very important business.
Taking a glass, Lanyon's visitor quickly mixed the drugs.
Will you let me take this glass and leave without asking me any more questions?
Sir, I don't understand.
Or would you like to watch a sight even the devil would not believe?
I have gone too far to stop. I must see the end.
And now, you who refuse to believe in the powers of magic drugs, you who would not believe those who knew more than you, watch.
Good Lord, no! It can't be! Oh, God, no.
Remember your promise, Lanyon. What you have seen, you promised not to tell. But tell it at my death or disappearance. Later at home, I worry about Lanyon. He cannot understand. Once more I was at home, close to my drugs, happy to be free, when suddenly, after breakfast, it's a nice day to... Oh no, not again. It took a double dose this time to change myself back to Jekyll. Oh, it's not working as it should. And 6 hours later, as I sat looking into the fire, no, please God, no. The drug is not working. I need a fresh supply. A week later, Dr. Lanyon became ill, and in less than 2 weeks, he was dead.
Odd. This letter from dear old Lanyon to me. What? not to be opened till the death or disappearance of Dr. Henry Jekyll. What can this mean? Yet I must do as my friend asks.
And then, one evening after dinner...
What brings you here, Poole? Is your master ill?
He's been locked up in his room all week, sir. I think something has happened to him.
Shortly afterward...
Mr. Utterson is here, sir, asking to see you.
Tell him I cannot see anyone.
I ask you, sir, is that my master's voice? I believe he's been murdered, sir. I saw the brute who ran in there. He was not my master.
Could it be Hyde after the money from the will?
Every day I have been sent to all the drugstores in town, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. Each time I was told to take back what I brought home because it was not pure. It was wanted very badly, sir. For what, I do not know.
Jekyll, I am worried about you. If you do not let us in, we will break in.
Go away.
That's not Jekyll's voice. Break down the door, Poole.
As the door flew open...
It's not Jekyll, it's Hyde. We have come too late to save or to punish.
Then where is my master?
Perhaps these papers explain... What? A diary? A confession? A new will?
All so neat, sir. Odd that Mr. Hyde did not destroy them.
It's from Jekyll. My dear Utterson, when you see this, I shall be gone. The end is sure and near. Read Lanyon's letter, and then read the diary of your troubled and unhappy friend, Henry Jekyll. Jekyll's new will is made out to me now, not Hyde. Yet Hyde has been in here these past days. Why did he not destroy it? I'm confused.
Later in his study, Utterson read the diary which told of Jekyll's double life.
God gave me a friend, yet I was unable to help him. Poor Jekyll.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to this performance and will look for other programs in this series.